All right, my excellent internet friends, going appropriately off topic to start, just for fun. My recommendation is go to that YouTube search bar up above there and type in Randy Feltface, specifically Randy Writes a Novel. If you haven't already seen this, it's great. Wherein our main character fully intends on reading a sample of his latest literary work to the audience, and for an hour and 11 minutes, completely, successfully fails to do so. Because he's afraid to. He's afraid of how it'll be received. And I understand that. However, that's not exactly my problem. I started publishing my work, it's been 8 years now, and I so far have 13 novels, 2 different series out there, and they're mostly pretty well reviewed. Audience is still fairly small. One of the reasons I started this channel was as an outlet to hopefully help promote it. But here's my problem. I suck at promotion, marketing, promoting my work myself. I've never been any good at sales. There it is. So today, here I am sitting in Gray Man Red Planet Studios, trying to get around to it, like Randy. I'm going to give it a shot and try not to get distracted. But why am I doing it today? Let's start with that. Well, I'm filming this on March 6th, 2021. Starting tomorrow, the 7th, through the 13th, my publisher, distributor, Smashwords.com, is doing their annual spring Read an Ebook Week promotion. Now, traditionally during that promotion, I offer all of my books, right now there's 13, for free. It's a coupon code on the page. You just plug it in at checkout, don't even have to give them a credit card. So it's yours. You can download it as many times as you want. Hoping in exchange, maybe, you'll be nice and kick back some positive reviews, or at least reviews, whatever. Anyway. Now, the first book of each one of my 2 series is always for free at several different places. But Smashwords does these promotions a couple times a year. There's usually this one in the spring for a week, and then for a month in December for the holidays. Sometimes there's one over the summer. Last year they did a longer one in the spring because they figured with COVID people would need stuff to read, so that was a thoughtful thing. But yeah, I often will throw my books out there in these promotions for free, just to get the word out there and get a little bit more exposure. So, what are my books about? Well, like I said, I have 2 series. So I figured I'd devote a video to each one, starting with the second one. The God Mars. Why am I starting with the second series? Which is the second in terms of not only chronological order, but also order of publishing. Speaking of which, I had never intended to actually even publish it. I had intended to publish the other series, The Gray Man, from the start. But after struggling with that for decades and rewriting it and rewriting it and rewriting it accordingly, in the meantime, I went back to something that I had just used in my youth as shall we say, a literary creative experiment. Spinning an ongoing serial based on the stuff that I loved. Classic science fiction, fantasy, hero comics. Again, never intending to publish it, but while I was struggling with the other one, I figured, okay, well, let's write a few short stories, and then those eventually started to gel into some coherent plots and novels, which eventually became the 8-book series that I've got out today, planned or otherwise. Once I secured a publisher for Gray Man and a distributor, I figured, well, let's just throw the God Mars out there too and see how that does. And lo and behold, it actually did better, both in terms of sales and reviews. And I think the reason for that is I would consider it more generally accessible to the reader. Gray Man, as I'll talk about in another video, is heavy stuff. You're probably going to need therapy after you read Gray Man. God Mars may be some aspects of it, but overall, it's my take on pulp science fiction and fantasy. In many ways, shall we say, hard science fantasy. Starting with the name, you'll find that I'm really big on, wordplay when it comes to names. God Mars is like saying biker bar. It's a planet Mars full of gods, or at least godlike beings that used to be human at one point, to one degree or another. The underlying causation of this is that in the not too far distant future, we do get to Mars and we do start to terraform and colonize at least one apparently favorable region. And I picked the Valles Marineris, which is a giant canyon the size of the United States and multiple miles deep, as a place to start building kind of a pocket ecosystem. And then that region gets filled up with colonies that are corporate run, because these corporations can take advantage of not only the environmental conditions, but also the opportunity to do research that would be far too scary to do on Earth. Specifically, biological nanotechnology towards the ultimate goal of transhumanism. First of all, cybernetics, interfacing us with technology for the sake of just selling more products, right? But also medical technology to be able to beat all of the things that ail us, until eventually that includes aging and death, creating in a short period of time, a few decades, a human race that is mostly immortal and invincible. And while we're at it, let's fill those new bodies up with all sorts of apps and mods to give you whatever kind of superpower you can dream of. So anything you want, anytime you want, without consequence. Yeah, you can imagine how well that goes. However, the story itself starts with a mystery of something interfering with that progression of history. That the governments of Earth put a weapons platform in high orbit over the planet, full of nuclear warheads, just in case that scary research got out of the labs, they could sterilize the planet, keep it from spreading to Earth and wiping out the human race. Something or someone sabotaged that process, attacked the labs, simulated a massive breach, also sent drones to attack everything in orbit, killed thousands of people, triggered the nuclear platform, rained fire from the sky. However, a lot of the corporations and other scrappy colonists wanting to survive snuck in some countermeasures, and to varying degrees of success managed to either shoot down or deflect those missiles. Our core group of characters that we start with were at a United Nations military base that was already built in a bunker because they were having eco-terrorism issues at the time. And they also had the benefit of hibernation chambers, chemical hibernation that would slow the metabolism down to a fraction, designed for putting people to sleep and keeping them healthy through interplanetary travel with little resource use. They wake up, dig themselves out, discover that a full 50 years have passed, the planet's terraforming has accelerated beyond what was expected, but more disturbing, Earth has never come back looking for them. They then start to encounter other survivors who, depending on how they survived, with what level of technology and resources and what their base cultures were to begin with, created their own little micro-civilizations. Some of them relatively primitive, some of them maintained some of that scary God Superman making technology. So you can imagine some of the conflicts and interplay. And of course some of the story then is devoted to, okay, so what happened to Earth? How did Earth deal with this traumatic event? And of course, who caused the disaster? Which introduces us to a selection of characters that appear to have come from the future that I described previously, where humanity had destroyed itself by becoming invincible. Some of them have come back specifically to stop the progression of that technology at any cost. Others have come back to, at the very least, protect the vulnerable mortal humans in the crossfire. And that's the story. Like I said, it combines a lot of things that I liked from when I was young, and touches upon who we are, what we are, our possibilities, our limitations, that even if you are Superman, you'd be surprised how helpless you are. That even if you're immortal, you'd be surprised how vulnerable you are. That if you have been fundamentally changed, including your mind, your memories, everything, by technology, are you even still you? So yeah, lighter subject, kind of. There's a lot more action, a lot more fun, a lot more humor. So in a nutshell, that's the God Mars. 8 books. I am working on a few top secret follow-ups and maybe some other related series, but check it out for the next week. Like I said, it's free. Otherwise, the first volume is free, and every once in a while, another promotion will come up, and they'll all be free. But yeah, check them out. Let me know what you think. I would appreciate your feedback, support, and as usual, I do hope to see you again.